Welcome to the latest episode of this week's Acca, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. Dom, joined by Jimmy and Tom to run you through the fixtures this coming weekend. Coming up, we're looking at 4 short price favourites to get the job done. That's right, we really want a winner this week. We never normally want one, do we, lads? We do, obviously we do. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to ensure that you never miss an episode. And remember to keep it fun, never bet more than you can afford. Please, gamble responsibly.
He's cracking up.
Why are you trying to have banter with us?
Yeah, well, I was just
We're
like,
not- we
are we
wasn't
allowed to
prepped for
talk? Are we
banter.
allowed to talk?
Usually we just smile away with that bit.
Okay then, lads, let's start then by addressing the elephant in the room. I am not Tom. You're there.
Tom, yes.
Jake broke down on the way in, unfortunately. His car is like Trigger's broom.
I was going to say, at least you clarified
It breaks
car.
down all the time.
Jake's had a breakdown and can't do the podcast.
Oh, yeah, but he had he's had his engine replaced recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, Trigger's Broom's the perfect one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the exact same car.
Nothing left of the
all
original.
different bits of it, yeah. He's had that car for years, but it's all different bits.
So, Jake, if you're listening to this in the future, we wish you all the best. Although we probably will have seen him by then, won't we? Maybe.
Probably,
Depends
yeah.
what happens
This
with
is
his
the magic of podcasting.
So, yeah, it's good to be with you on this week's Acca. Normally I'm sitting in the producer's chair, but this week I've been drafted in here in an emergency.
It's weird to be here. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do with my hands, my arms. If you're watching on the YouTube, usually I'm like you, I lean on the desk, and I don't really know what to do with my hands. So
I've spent a lot of time observing you in this seat,
In
and
the
I
podcast, or-
don't know what to do in this seat.
Absolutely good when you got curtains.
That's a nice T-shirt you've got.
Thank you. It's a football map of Britain. If you're watching on the again on the YouTube, I'm plugging it. So it's a map of Britain, but it's got all the football clubs on it.
What represents Bradford City?
I don't think you're on it, mate. I think there's a little chicken thing down here.
Sheffield United got 3 names on it. haven't they?
Sheffield United. They've got Sheffield United, the Blades, Bramall Lane. You've got the lot, mate.
What have they?
Yeah,
They
they've
really
got
have?
3. Yeah, 3
What?
down here in the Sheffield area
Why?
of the T-shirt.
Oh.
That's a football club, aren't they?
Massive.
So absolutely ginormous.
Right, let's get cracking. I was not here last week, so fill me in. What happened?
Jimmy
I'm
wasn't.
going to guess
here.
it didn't win.
I
Jimmy
weren't
wasn't
here.
here, was he?
Oh, you weren't here either?
I was the only one who was here.
Tom's
3 wins and 2 draws. Newcastle beat Southampton, even with 10 men. Burnley beat Cardiff. Huddersfield beat Stevenage. Port Vale were the one that really let us down because they drew 0-0 with Tranmere. Although Sheffield United, if you backed it with the 2-up payouts and that, you would have got it. Sheffield United threw away a 2-0 lead against 10-man QPR to draw 2-2. So, yeah, a loss. None of them individually lost the games, but all 5 did not win. So, yes, still waiting for the first winner because your Bradford City lads screwed us over the first week. So
Have I not warned you time and time again? And the warning is never heeded. Every time you put Bradford in, they've either won, like against MK Dons, to ruin the Acca, or they lose to ruin the Acca. Bradford City have never helped anyone, well, ever, but in an Acca ever, either. Why'd you do it?
I think we just wanted to give you a nice start to the season. Said, oh,
Well,
should
thank you.
we
I
give
did-
Dom a win here
I
to
do
start the
appreciate
season.
it. It was a very
Let's put
unexpected
MK
win,
Dons in.
against MK Dons, yeah. But let's let's get into the first selection then, shall we?
Oh, we've got some comments.
Oh, sorry, YouTube comments. Sorry, Jimmy.
It's
time, be gentle.
It is right on cue because the first comment is stop waffling, just put the selections on screen.
Okay.
I said, no, let's not get to the selections. I've got some more
Got
waffle.
more waffle for you.
Condos is saying, not great, lads. What's going on? I'll be at the food bank if this keeps up. But only 2 weeks in. And then he replied with an Acca of his own where only 2 of the selections, 1 out of 5. So, up yours, Condo. It's not that easy,
You
is
only got
it?
yourself to blame.
Oh dear.
And that's it for the comments.
All right. There we go.
All right, so it was just those two.
That was the comments.
Okay, I mean, I think that it needs to remember how an Acca works. The reason that they, can quite often pay so well is that they quite often don't win.
Yeah.
It's a guessing game, innit?
Largely.
I don't want to diminish your expertise. Right, let's get straight into the first selection. What have we got?
Go on, Jim Rod. Take us away. You can have it.
Most confident one, Huddersfield 2 to 5-ish at Shrewsbury. It's a bit short, but I think it's pretty much a sure thing. Shrewsbury haven't won any of the last 12 games. 13 games ago, they beat Carlisle, who finished like 11 points adrift at the bottom of League One last season. And Huddersfield off to a flyer, beat Stevenage. Oh, no, sorry. Huddersfield off to a flyer. They're unbeaten and they've only conceded 1, scored 4. So it's short, but Is it a good start?
I like it. I like Huddersfield, to be fair. We spoke about it in pre-season, didn't we? And the fact that I think we backed them for a top 6 after 2 weeks. I think they've gone from 6 to 4 to about 8 to 11 or something like that. I think they're into about third favourites now to be top 6. So just shows that people are fancying them. Shows kind of the good start they've had. I'd have no issue with it. It's just 2 to 5 and it might be a bit short.
They look very comfortable in League One, don't they, Huddersfield? It's like they've found their level.
Don't talk about Duff. You a fan of Michael Duff?
I like Duff.
I
like Duff.
It just feel about him.
It just looks like a great fit for Huddersfield. It's just sort of like Barnsley, town that's really going to get on board with his style, and he's inherited a load of big, beefy centre backs, and he's pretty good for his direct style.
Reece Healy's injured. Is the only one. I think they're saying they're managing him a bit, but I think they've got others who can probably step in up front, as they did last week, which is, you'd hate it if you backed him to be top scorer, Healy, at the start of the season to hear he's already having to manage his minutes through injury. That'd be the only slight concern for me. And at 2 to 5, I mean, do we just want to go strong to start and just kick it off?
What, put him in?
Yeah.
There's no objections. We're going straight.
I quite like Huddersfield. It feels quite unsettling when we don't disagree.
Okay, well, the commenter gets his wish then. The first selection on this week's Acca is Huddersfield Town to beat Shrewsbury. Right, straight into the second selection. I must say, sitting here, it's quite fascinating. I think this must be what it was like to watch like Oppenheimer coming up with the sums for that bomb thing he made. Because he's so clever. It's like watching you like doing all the workings out. It's you know, on the Hangover where he's got all those sums.
Yeah. The bit where he's on the casino floor.
92 football teams and Sky Bet logos.
I like how we've compared it to the development of the atomic bomb. Which, let's hope this Acca is the bomb.
Right, the second selection. What are we going with? Who's first?
Do you want to go to the Premier League? Does anyone want to talk Premier League football?
Yeah.
2 from the Premier League. Yeah, it's rubbish.
2. Yeah,
it's rubbish, isn't it, fundamentally?
I am sick of the Premier League.
It's been 1 week.
Boring
It's
football.
really, really bad, wasn't it, opening weekend? It wasn't great. I've got 2. Tottenham to beat Everton 4-9.
Jimmy, don't look happy.
I didn't think I wasn't convinced if you'd like this.
What's your objection, Jimmy?
John Dyche.
Yeah, Sean Dyche, to be honest. I thought he was massively unlucky to lose 3-0 in the first game. The combination of not being clinical, obviously Young being a daft lad, and then a few mistakes. I don't think 3-0 were a fair reflection. And then the other thing is Tottenham. They couldn't beat Leicester.
They should. This is the thing, though, and I may be giving away the other selection on here, but did everyone watch Monday Night Football? They should have been about 3-4-0 up at half time.
Should have.
I mean, it's
But they
Spursy
wasn't.
things happening again, but they should have been miles ahead at half time.
Yeah, they wasted.
So far ahead. Solanke looked really good considering
Yeah,
he was basically straight into the team. Looked really hot. Brennan Johnson, was probably the, one that you could look at. But as a whole performance, they're really strong. They should have been about 3-4-0 up at half time. And it is going to be one of those, I think, results that they really regret later in the season. But does that not then make you go, they've got Everton at home next? They're going to have talked about that and how wasteful they were, and they can't afford to let it happen again.
Yeah, potentially. I just don't think Everton should be 6-1. It's one I had earmarked for potentially putting in my column. I decided against it, but I don't think Spurs are big enough, to be honest. Don't like the price.
What about Fulham to beat Leicester at 5-6? Because on Monday night, Leicester should have been 3-0 down at half time. That's effectively the reasoning
You think
behind
Leicester
this.
looked that bad?
Yes.
Okay.
They were awful for that. And then it's the thing of because we spoke about the newly promoted teams last week, and you get it in the EFL where there's a lot of kind of carryover. It doesn't happen so much in the Premier League. And then I kind of went back. I can't remember the stats where I looked it up. The opening weekend for promoted teams, it's 1-3, drawn 2, lost 10 over the last 5 years, excluding this year because this was last week's stuff. Away from home, it's 1 draw and 5 defeats. So if you're a newly promoted team and you're going to get something, you have to play at home, naturally. They then got a goal out of basically nothing. Didn't look like it was coming whatsoever. They've then scored, equalised, the crowd are going, everyone's on board with it, thinking, okay, we can do this. Nearly scored a winner and snatched it. But if we're honest, they were awful the first half. Should have been miles behind. We're very, very lucky that Tottenham didn't punish them. I mean, keepers made a number of good saves. And straight away at half-time, I was already looking at the price on Fulham to beat them on Saturday, which hasn't massively changed since Monday, around 5-6. It's just like when Forest the other season, when Forest came up under Steve Cooper, they got like nothing away from home. I think their only win all season away from home was Southampton.
Is that true?
Fairly sure it is. I'm just going to say it with enough confidence that I'm sure the only away win they had that season was like Southampton away. Obviously then, who were another kind of struggler at the time. Just going to struggle away from home. You get near even money on a relatively kind of decent mid-table-ish team who've got a bit of ambition and a decent squad about them in Fulham.
I was going to say, Fulham have recruited so well in the summer. They look like they've got a really good squad coming together.
They wanted that Ray and Cherky, but he's turned them down, hasn't he, from Leon, which is a bit, not humiliating, but it's a bit of a downer on the whole thing. But then they've got...
His brother's better anyway. Beef.
Proud of yourself?
Yeah.
You're proud of yourself? It looks a good squad, though, doesn't it, Fulham? They look decent enough on Friday night, to be fair, against Man United.
Yeah. Yeah, I was concerned, obviously, Paulinho going, who's, I think, best holding midfielder in the world. Destroyer, not Rodri's calibre, but that type of player. I was just worried then, thinking they played against Man U, but looking how they play it, like 4-3-3 with all the pace up front, are they going to be better suited playing that way? But I'm just looking, last season, excluding the top 8, at home, they only lost against Brentford and Burnley. They literally won all the others bar a draw against Crystal Palace. So I didn't even consider this game, but I'm happy to have it in.
I was looking actually there. I have gone back. The season I was talking about, the 22-23 season, Forest won one away game all season. That was Southampton, who finished bottom of the league that year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of feeling this Leicester team's a bit like that. The newly promoted side, to an extent, Ipswich and Southampton will be the same, although Southampton play well at Newcastle.
Yeah.
They're not going to win many away games. Spoke out there, Fulham. I mean, it just feels to me you're near even money on a team here. The matchup looks nice for it.
So sorry to put you on the spot here, Tom, because this is normally your job when you're in the hot seat. What sort of price are we looking at then if we put Fulham in alongside Huddersfield?
I've actually got it loaded already.
Oh,
Jimmy,
Jim Rod. Thank you,
guy.
mate. Good, because I didn't.
Coral and Ladbrokes leading at 1.66 to 1 with gracious overlord Sky Bet is 1.5 to 1.
So we're talking 5 to 2-ish at the moment then.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 to 4.
So we're going with Fulham?
6 to 4. I'm all on board to taking Fulham to beat Leicester. I think it's
Okay.
a nice one from the 3 p.m. slate.
Okay, let's do it. Well, that's the second selection for this week's Acca. Fulham to beat Leicester. They're going alongside Huddersfield, who the lads think are going to beat Shrewsbury. Third selection. Who we're going with first?
I can see one on your list that I was thinking about doing the opposite way around.
What is it?
Gillingham to beat Fleetwood. I was actually
We're in agreement, Gillingham to beat Fleetwood.
No.
Third pick.
Well, you think Fleetwood will beat Gillingham?
Well, I was considering taking them, yeah, at the price.
Talk to me.
Explain, yeah.
Well, Charlie Adam took over sometime last season, inherited a squad 19 points adrift in the division above. They obviously...
Hang on a minute, what? Charlie Adams, manager of Fleetwood?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
He is, yeah. And he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. Like, there were 19 points adrift when he took over. They went down, but they only finished 4 points adrift. So that is some feat. And I know the pressure was off. And he basically played this really exciting style of play. And it's bled into this season. They was desperately unlucky not to beat Notts County on Sunday. They were 2-0 up, 2-1 down, 95 minutes on the clock, and there was such a dubious penalty, which meant they ended up drawing with Notts County. Do you know the one where the attacker gets in front of the defender?
There's a bit of contact.
Yeah,
in the
and then
back
just
of
goes
there.
down.
Yeah, okay.
One of them. So they were unlucky. So I'm basically pretty hot on Fleetwood because of the start they've made to the season, and I just thought, is it at Fleetwood?
It's at Fleetwood, yeah.
So Tom, let's hear your case against.
Gillingham are my rare away team. I hate backing away teams, as you kind of know. But it's the fact that 2 to 1 on Gillingham this season, and you're only 2 weeks in, and you can't particularly make any massive bold predictions. But it feels like this season, if Gillingham are at 2 to 1, largely wherever they play, they're probably going to be value to take. I think they are now. You know what? I think they've been backed into favourites for the title already, based on the opening 2 performances that they've had. Beat Carlisle 4-1, which I think a lot of us were placing them kind of top 7. Won away at Morecambe, who world against them again type scenario. First home game, that's going to be quite tricky. I think a few teams might stumble at Morecambe this season, maybe not so much when they play them at home. It's just more that the price is available. Mark Bonner's doing a fine job so far. It's a really good squad. I mean, Jack Nolan, we spoke about before when he was at Accrington, one of the best wingers in League Two. Bradley Dack has returned.
He's back.
Dak is back, but that feels like one of those transfers that you drop down the level. It's a place he's really familiar with. He knows the club, to give it a cliche.
That's not in it.
Yeah, but like he just finds his form again and can really add to it. So what
I think he will. I was kind of thinking it might be a bit of a failed transfer. That it's just
no, it feels like you see it quite a lot where players will drop down a division or two
to get the spark back.
Rekindle, find the spark, get the form back. It's the fact that Gillingham is where he was 8 years ago, maybe, before he moved on. It's just more that's one example of an already talented squad. Talk about the Notts County game, I think. Even though it was a late penalty, Notts County did batter them a bit.
When?
When the 500 shots they had across the game or whatever.
I think on the face of it, this sounds like it could trip us up this week.
Should we take a draw? Should we meet in the middle?
Yep. That's illegal.
Yeah, for me, it was just that reason. I think Gillingham above 2-1 in places, but 2-1 generally. Anytime they're around that price, you've just got to have a little value play on them.
Do you know what you could do? I'm going to say what everyone always says to me. Well, you never let me have on it.
Why don't you put it as a single?
Why don't you just put it as a single?
I'll put it in the column. It's my column.
Yeah, why don't
this
you
weekend.
pop it in
You
your
put
column?
Fleetwood in yours, I'll put Gillingham in mine.
It'll
It'll be a draw and we'll both lose. Yep. So nobody's happy. But yeah, for me, it was largely what I'd consider a bit of a value play on what is a good team. Is basically what I was doing.
So is there an alternative for our third pick?
I've got an alternative away if we're chucking aways in at the minute.
I didn't particularly want to, but okay.
Birmingham, even money at Leyton Orient. Should that not just be in there?
Don't know.
Birmingham were 15-8 to win the title, and I think we saw in a microcosm last game how the bookies might actually be right. They're gonna win the title. They beat Wickham 3-2. They went 1-0 down thanks to an own goal. They then had 74 possession. Second time they've done that already in 2 games. Created twice as many big chances, twice as much XG as Wickham. Wickham pulled one back late, but ultimately, they had it all to do. There was a goal down against the side that were more than happy to take a draw, and they still managed to break him down on what is an awful pitch in a very lower league ground. No disrespect, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a new challenge for Birmingham, and they passed it with flying colours. And if anything, is playing away going to suit them more? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, my only concern with Birmingham is that the cliched cup final in that division, aren't they? But I'm glad you talked because I could follow my curiosity a little bit and quickly look up last season's stats on Leyton Orient because it felt like they didn't really beat anyone at the top.
Are you still a cup final team if you're playing away?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're more of a cup final team because the big boys are coming to town.
The big boys are in town.
That's what Bradford City's problem is. That's why we've been stuck in League Two for 20 years.
Like 17th every year. That's it. But that was the big thing for Birmingham this season. Like League One's tricky anyway.
Yeah.
But when Birmingham City turn up in League One this season, this is like one of the biggest games we'll play. Let's be honest, for some of these clubs at that level. That potentially being the stumbling block, but they've shown already that it may not be an issue. Frankly, the squad is absolutely stacked, isn't it, at this level? They've spent big to do it. On that, I was thinking of Leyton Orient's results last season, and Bolton were the only team they beat at home. Lost to Portsmouth, Derby, Peterborough, Oxford, drew with Barnsley, lost to Lincoln, beat Blackpool, lost to Stevenage. So, of the teams who finished above them at home, they only beat 2 of them.
Right, okay. I'm going to... My head's still a bit of mush here. What are we going with?
Let's get myself into going to Birmingham here.
Well, you don't have
like
to.
Birmingham.
A case.
It's a big price, isn't it, for what, like you say, the team who were 15-8 to win the entire league.
Glance at the slate this morning, I'm sure it's drifted, which is not good news for the Shrewdies, but it's good news. It's good news if you think they're going to win. They're out to 21 to. Oh, mind you, it's tin pot firms. Yeah, they're still even money. But if you want a sort of a striker for Leyton Orient against. Birmingham is Leyton Orient have played 2 of the big boys, Bolton, Charlton. They've lost both, but I think they give pretty good accounts for themselves because they only lost 2-1 to Bolton and 1-0 to Charlton. So, is it going to be a bit of a nervous watch if you're looking for an excuse not to have them?
This is a difficult third selection, isn't it? Both fixtures seem too close.
Kind of approaching this though, as we spoke about in recent episodes, of do we just go for the better teams or the expected better teams in the division, and it's been a foolproof plan with MK Dons. But do we just go, we're expecting these teams to be good this year, how often are you going to get even money on teams like Birmingham to win this season? I don't think you're going to get it that often. As the season goes on, and if we're expecting it to go as it does, and they were under 2-1 favourites to win the entire league, how often then in when it hits November, December, are we going to get even money on them to win any game again?
Yeah.
Unless they're playing Bolton or Huddersfield away or something like that, who might be near
Dom,
them.
this is the thing for me, right? They went to Wickham last week, went a goal down, and then they were 3-1 up with 85 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, see,
that's not the test.
Yeah.
That's the
I didn't think they'd beat Wickham, to be fair.
And they went a
that's
goal
good sign.
down.
Yeah.
So
we're going with Birmingham.
I think we're talking ourselves into this, aren't we?
Yeah. I think Jimmy was already there. I think it's you that you've.
Yeah, I've talked myself
into it.
It's just away teams. It's anyone. It's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, Birmingham going to be the biggest game for basically everyone in this division. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, fine, we'll go with it.
Fine. Okay. The third selection then on this week's Acca is Birmingham to win away at Leyton Orient. They join Huddersfield and Fulham as the three we've got so far. Okay, lads, the price is at around 4-1 at the minute. There's a bit of debate going on. You've not had a winner so far this season out of 2 attempts.
can't remember the last time we had a winner.
Let's forget about last season. Last season was an anomaly.
It's a fugazi.
It's already happened.
What's
What's in the past?
It was a good season.
What's that
if you're
thing?
just tuning in for the first time, we did do quite well last year. Let's
Yeah,
just
they did do quite well.
We were all right. Don't worry about it. Like,
What's that thing that turtle says on Kung Fu Panda?
I can't remember the last
Yesterday
time I
is
saw
history,
Kung Fu
tomorrow's a
Panda.
mystery, but today's the present. And this is a gift.
Oh no, I know that quote
Somebody-
because Nigel Atkins said it.
Did he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Nigel
did.
Atkins at a press conference
He
said
did.
it. Yeah.
And then is he just quoted Kung Fu Panda?
Today's
unbelievable.
today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. I think that's the
Kung Fu
line.
Panda.
And then that's why I heard it. So I went Nigel Atkins. That's the most Nigel Atkins thing ever, and it's the way he delivers it beautifully, absolutely beautiful delivery on this. And then people are going, he's quoting Kung Fu Panda. I was like, fair enough, but it was inspirational.
So let's recap. 4-1 at the minute. We've got Fulham, Huddersfield, and Birmingham in there. Birmingham, the away team, of course. There's a little bit of debate now. Do we go 4 or 5 teams? Do we keep it at a decent price, or do we just go for one that we think's
Just want to
nailed
win an
on?
Acca.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be nice
Wanna
to get
win
one
one.
up on the board. But this is the age-old question because we always try. Last season we were trying to hit the 10-1 marker.
Yeah, we dropped that this year though,
We
didn't we?
dropped
I think?
it. We've dropped
That's
it.
not an official thing anymore. The
We
10
just
is
want
it?
to win this
We
year.
just want to win
Yeah.
ones
So if there's no rules,
regularly.
I'm happy just to go one more team. It's less jeopardy.
Well, to be fair, it depends what the team is, I guess, isn't it? I mean, if we pick a team that's whatever, then we're at 10-1, or I don't know.
Fine, let's get into our fourth selection.
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
what
well-
teams are we thinking about?
Just one
Take it
more
away,
team.
Jim
If
Rob.
it's only one more team, we may as well go big. Take Portsmouth at Middlesbrough.
Ooh.
That is a gym. Is this the Rotherham thing again, like last season? We'd always back Rotherham at like 15, 16 to 1 to win everywhere.
Maybe. No, I was just being a daft lad then.
Shock.
Chesney, 6-10. Salford takes us up to around 7-1. We might get it boosted to 8-1.
Like it. I have Chesterfield down.
Yeah, they jot it down. They're 6-10 market best price, but after what we've seen of them so far, I think that's worth taking. They absolutely battered Crewe 5-0. Hard to believe that's first win in the Football League since 2018. 4 points, they've gone unbeaten, and to be honest, Salford, they were a pretty trendy team. I don't know if you know, but they've
Dropped
got
off.
some pretty famous owners. But I feel like they've reached their peak, and they're just sort of wallowing now in League Two. So I don't think they're.
Well, I watched them play against Bradford at the weekend. And
Who
it was terrible football. 0-0, boring.
do you support again?
Mansfield. No,
That's
but
a clip that will be
Salf-
immortalised forever.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So you saw me at Guiseley the other day.
Yeah.
I support all teams. I love football. But Salford didn't look great. They didn't look. Bradford should have won that game. Salford were poor.
How sad are you by the news as well, by the big Salford-related news of a retirement this week?
What?
Matt Smith.
Smudger.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah, I knew it'd hit you hard because you were a big fan of him last year, weren't you?
Yeah, he just cross the ball into the box and he will score.
He hits that ball so hard.
He does.
On
Great
that
League Two
point,
striker.
is it risky going for another League Two team? League Two is so inconsistent. Believe me.
I don't know. I mean, I have this. So, obviously, every episode we prep teams and then any little notes that just so remember to mention this stuff like that. And then if I just have a team and I write the team to beat this team and the price and no notes, that usually just means I just like it. Like I'm just confident enough on it.
Yeah.
That I go, yeah.
Okay.
I just have that. If I was sat on a Saturday at 2:55 going, yeah, based on what we've seen so far this season, which again is only a couple of weeks, you got to be a bit hesitant. But Chesterfield were absolutely superb, and
Susan Perb.
Susan Perb. And the question was how much would they adapt to League Two, because they were the favourites, or one of the favourites to win the league.
Yeah.
Adapted brilliantly in the early stages, and not only that, have turned up and absolutely annihilated someone else in only their second game. Was it Crew, who somehow made the playoff final last year? One of life's great mysteries, how they made the playoff finals, but they did. I have no issue with this. I would like to say, actually, I'm glad we brought Chesterfield up, because it just reminded me of one of the lads in the office, James, 2 years in a row has done this Soccer Saturday challenge.
Not heard of it.
So it's you all crowd round, or your mates or whatever, watch the TV, and then the first goal, whoever scores that goal, is where you go for your night out that night. So I think they set some kind of limits.
That night?
Yeah. So you go, right, get on a train, we need to go, and we're off.
Oh, someone scores at like 5 o'clock.
No, the first goal.
Oh, right. So you sit, watch Soccer Saturday.
Right.
Soccer Saturday on your TV, and then you go, right, the first one that comes up at like EFL, then you go there. So he last year had Chesterfield. He said, rubbish night out, nothing there. Obviously, Chesterfield have absolutely started like a house on fire. They've got to go to Chesterfield again. 2 years in a row, this challenge has taken them to the same place, which actually isn't that far from here either, so it's not that exciting.
Have you ever been out on a night out in Chesterfield?
No.
No, I don't.
You must have.
I don't think I have. I was just trying to think. No.
Never
Have you seen
been drawn to it.
the goal that took James to Chesterfield from last weekend? James Berry, absolute worldie, I think. Some people are calling it a miss hit or a ricochet, but
Jealousy.
Producers, can we get that goal on screen? No. Okay.
No, I'm not doing the work. But back to the original point. Yes, Chesterfield will win. I fancy another game of football on the back of being really good last time.
Okay, so we want to put Chesterfield in. What sort of price are we looking at then?
the fourfold, yeah, it's like a smidge over 7, so we might get 8s with Sky if they're generous when they boost it.
I'd still take 7s on that.
Take 7s on
comes
that.
to a
4,
kick.
innit?
I mean, the other ones I had Lincoln to beat Mansfield 11-8, just because I think Lincoln will be a good home team again this year. Colchester to beat Harrogate, evens on that one. Harrogate not started particularly great. Colchester load of goals in them, and actually that's it. Doncaster to beat Morecambe was the other one as well. I know I spoke about Morecambe earlier, but they're away from home, so it's slightly different. They were the other ones I
Derek
had.
Adams.
Oh yeah, it's
Not just the Bradford City thing, it's just there's something about that guy.
it's weird, isn't it? It's a managerial thing of he's unbelievably good at one club. And then
Is he unbelievably good now?
for Morecambe, I think if they stay up, it's absolute.
Oh, yeah.
What, stay in League 2?
Yeah, they stay at that club at the moment. If they stay up this year, it's like he's got to be in contention for like
Manager
manager of the season.
century.
Isn't
Really?
he? Yeah. Oh, they did do that thing where they announced 16 players at once, which I really, really enjoyed in pre-season. But they were the other ones, and having listed all of them, I just feel more confident in just taking Chesterfield to win at home.
Yes.
Right, thank you, lads. Chesterfield then are our fourth and final selection. That gives us a price of around 7-1. A reminder then of this week's Acca. Fulham to beat Leicester. Birmingham to win away at Leyton Orient. Huddersfield to beat Shrewsbury. And Chesterfield to beat Salford. Remember to keep it fun and don't bet more than you can afford. Please gamble responsibly. Make sure you get in touch with us on social media. The address is on screen there. Make sure you head over to sportinglife.com/football midday on Friday to find the link back to the enhanced price for this Acca. And if you haven't already, please follow us and rate us on iTunes, Spotify, and your chosen podcast provider. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We need it all. It's really good for the algorithm. It puts us in front of the right audience, like you. Okay, we'll be back next week. See you then.